Just as terrible black thunder gust was coming up, Tom sat in his counting house in his white linen cap and India silk morning gown. He was on the point of foreclosing a mortgage by which he would complete the ruin of an unlucky land speculator for whom he had professed the greatest friendship. The poor land jobber begged him to grant him a few months' indulgence. Tom had grown testy and irritated and refused another day.
"My family will be ruined and brought upon the parish,"
said the land jobber.
"Charity begins at home,"
replied Tom.
"I must take care of myself in these hard times."
"You have made so much money out of me, but please don't close my mortgage."
Tom lost his patience and his piety.
"The devil take me if I have made a farthing."
Just then there were 3 loud knocks at the street door. He stepped out to see who was there. A black man was holding a black horse, which neighed and stamped with impatience.
"Tom, you're come for,"
said the black fellow gruffly. Tom shrunk back, but too late. He had left his Bible at the bottom of his coat pocket and his big Bible on the desk buried under the mortgage he was about to foreclose. Never was sinner taken more unawares. The black man whisked him like a child into the saddle, gave the horse the lash, and away he galloped, with Tom on his back in the midst of the thunderstorm. The clerks stuck their pens behind their ears and stared after him from the windows. Away went Tom Walker dashing down the streets, his white cap bobbing up and down, his morning gown fluttering in the wind, and his steed striking fire out of the pavement at every bound. When the clerks turned to look for the black man, he had disappeared. Tom Walker never returned to foreclose the mortgage. A countryman who lived on the border of the swamp reported that in the height of the thunder gust, he had heard a great clattering of hoofs and a howling along the road, and running to the window caught sight of a figure such as I have described, on a horse that galloped like mad across the fields, over the hills and down into the black hemlock swamp, towards the old Indian fort. And that shortly after, a thunderbolt falling in that direction seemed to set the whole forest in a blaze.
"What the heck?"
The good people of Boston shook their heads and shrugged their shoulders, but had been so accustomed to witches and goblins and tricks of the devil in all kinds of shapes from the first settlement of the colony, that they were not so much horror-struck as might have been expected.
"Man, they're probably fine."
Trustees were appointed to take charge of Tom's effects. There was nothing, however, to administer upon. On searching his coffers, all his bonds and mortgages were found reduced to cinders. In place of gold and silver in his iron chest was filled with chips and shaving. 2 skeletons lay in his stable instead of his half-starved horses, and the very next day his great house took fire and was burned to the ground. Such was the end of Tom Walker and his ill-gotten wealth. Let all gripping money brothers lay this story to heart.